All right, Coach Robyn, what is Summermaxxing? You loved the maxing episode.
I loved the maxing episode, and then I was like, we could do a summer maxing episode. So here it is. It's all about like intentionally optimizing, maximizing, for lack of a better word, and elevating your summer experiences. It's about squeezing everything in, every last drop of summer that you can get out of summer this season. It's about doing that.
All right, so we have tips on how to do that, and we're talking specifically for our Chicago athletes, but this probably applies to you no matter where you're at because, if you live by a body of water, apply it to your body of water.
Or if it's going to be hot on race day in the fall, which it probably is, right? Chances are, then this is also going to help you. First up is to run by the lake, right? Use it, it's there. It seems obvious, right? Because we talk a lot about the lakefront path, but it has some pretty gigantic advantages when it comes to summertime. First up, cooler temps. I make this comment all the time. As soon as I park by the lake, I'm like, woo! It's a little bit cooler over here. So the breeze coming off of Lake Michigan can make a real difference in overall temperature, especially on hot summer days. Inland temperatures might feel really toasty and roasty, and then the lake often gives you just a little bit of respite to those soaring digits.
Second reason to run by the lake is consistent airflow. So we have that steady lake breeze, and it doesn't just cool you down, it also helps reduce the heat, stress that you experience, and it improves perceived effort during workouts. So this is especially important for your tempo runs, your speed runs, your long runs. And as the heat rises, as our temperatures go up, this is a game changer.
Next one actually rides kind of on that one, minimum traffic interruptions, especially when you're talking about long or tempo where you just need to kind of go. The lakefront trail is going to be where it's at. That's designed literally for that, and it separates both runners and cyclists to just let you keep going and going and going. So you're not dealing with things like stoplights and intersections and traffic. It makes for a really great way to be able to maintain your momentum throughout and not have those variables come into play as much, which is a lot like race day, right? Mm-hmm. You in theory, don't have to deal with that stuff on race day either.
Yeah, same thing as race day, maybe dodging the runners or divvies
a little bit, just a little bit.
Well, much less than you'd find running anywhere else in the city. Number 4 is soft surfaces. So you have options for soft surfaces along the lakefront, which I absolutely love. We don't have a lot of trails in the city proper.
Yeah, not long ones, just little whips.
Right, and so this is something that you can actually get on crushed limestone, or you have grass options or adjacent softer surfaces that you can run on to alleviate some of that pounding. And mixing these into your training is great because it reduces the impact compared to just running on the concrete alone.
The next reason that we love to summer max by going on the lakefront is a mental boost. Hello, nature fix, right? We've been talking about this, Florence Williams. We love you. It's really the combination of like those open water views, skyline scenery, beaches, nice green, lush spaces. It makes runs feel easier. They feel shorter. They feel more feasible. We also know that we can stay positive, we can stay focused for longer when we have pretty things to look at. That scenic environment is a huge, huge, huge boost. It's why for a lot of long runs, when we get into the teens and we do these routes or these larger loops for our edge runners, I'll often put them right on the water for a good portion of it. Even if it's not the trail and we're on just like the slabs, it's just magical. You just feel so refreshed and you can kind of zen out and get in a beautiful rhythm.
Yeah, and speaking of magical, our last one is the community energy, which is pure magic, and it starts now that the weather is nice, and it goes all the way through marathon.
Yeah.
And it just gets better and better through the summer. This is a really cool thing about this, is just that more people will be outside training for Chicago Triathlon or Chicago Marathon or whatever fall races that they're doing, as well as just the people who are out there enjoying life, right? Like the people who are on the cycles, the walkers. There's just so many active people, and that sort of energy is motivating to get you through your workout when your own motivation is running low.
Last weekend, I was in a rough spot coaching. I was like, actually I wasn't coaching, I was just running. But I was with the group and I was dying. I don't know what it was. It wasn't super hot. I was just having a rough go of it, and I was coming back and it was a pretty crowded area, and there was a really cute pug. So you also have a lot of options to see dogs. This
That's
one
right.
was named Pickles. Shout out Pickles. But he completely turned my whole little run around, and I had a couple of miles back, and I felt so much better. I was like, oh yeah, that's all I needed was to pet a Pickles.
Yeah.
Right. But without being out there, I don't think I would have seen him.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely lean into your lakefront runs. And that leads us to number 2, which is the ultimate
Lake jump.
the lake jump. That's right. So jumping in that big, beautiful body of water once your run is done, or even at the midway point.
Yeah,
We've had people
as a reward
run, and take that break and jump in the water. Be careful of chafing, of course, but there are so many huge wins with being able to jump in the lake. First of all, it lowers your core body temperature, and that's just huge when you are running so hot in the summer.
Especially in direct sun.
Yes, and it does it quickly, and which means it's super refreshing.
A lot of times, again, when we get into the teens, we will create opportunities for our athletes to kind of jump in if they want to. And I will tell you, it is so obvious to us when you all jump in versus not. If I don't know what a group has done and I come up on them, let's say we're in the back third, and they're talking and they're laughing, and I see them doing things like responsibly taking sips of their water bottle or, just having a personality, honestly, just having a personality and not being a zombie. I'm like, so how was the lake jump? And every time they've gone in, because it gives them their personality back. It lowers their body temperature just enough to where they can get back to doing work. Not that you have that on race day, but during training, you're doing all of this on taper. Sometimes you need a little reset. Mm-hmm. However, if I come up into a group and they're zombies, sometimes they're equally wet looking, I will say too, just from how hot and humid it can get. But they're just kind of zombies. They're shuffling. They're not talking a lot. I'm like, so we skipped the lake jump, right? It's very, very obvious just because it is a true kind of mental reset and physical reset. So if you're thinking about it, the answer is yes, do it.
Yeah. And number 2 of that is that it also makes your run more memorable, right?
Absolutely.
So you have these it's more fun, it's more memorable. You have these core memories with your run club and the people that you're training with of stopping, jumping in. That's it's not something that we typically do. I mean, unless you have a beach day, right? And so you're in the middle of your workout getting this opportunity to enjoy the natural resources that we have. It's so magical. It can really turn your tough workouts into just a kind of a core experience.
Yeah.
And that sort of bonding that happens with the group of doing that just levels up your friendship points so much faster.
Yeah, it does.
The group cohesion is a lot stronger.
But we got some tips, right? So in general, you got to make sure that where you're jumping is deep enough, right? So if you see other people doing it, that's usually a good sign. But if you can see any type of those sunken stones that they do for the break, don't jump there. And always jump where you know that you can use the ladders to get out. You're not jumping and hitting the water within a feet. It's a few feet. So you're going to need a way to get out. And of course, this is 101, but take off your socks, take off your shoes, take off your top layers. If you've got a bra and a tank, take off the tank.
And
your phone.
Oh.
Let's not forget your phone, people. Take those out of your shorts before you jump in.
I was recently reminded of a cold plunge that I did after a long run where my phone was in my pocket. So,
oh no.
Yeah.
In a big body of water?
In a barrel in their physical therapy studio. It did not.
Oh, R.I.P. But your legs were fresh.
I was so fresh.
Yeah, so fresh and less mentally taxed because you didn't have to worry about a phone anymore.
I had a personality. I didn't have a phone.
Damn it. If this is mid-run, though, I will say, just don't make it any longer than a minute or two that you stay in there because you do need to kind of get back to getting going again. To your point, your body heat really does kind of reduce pretty freaking quickly too. You're not going to get cold being in there, but you don't need longer than a minute or two. Crawl back out, put your shoes and your socks back on, and then get back to work. And then I'll roll up on you and we can talk about your personality. All right, number 3, the third way to Summer Max this season is get in a sunrise run. Yes, it is early. It's very early this time of year, 100% accurate, but it's always, always, always worth it. Here's how. First up, no brainer, it beats the heat, right? Early mornings are typically the coolest part of the entire day, even overnight, because it's had however many hours to kind of blow out all that hot air. And so we start anew every time we have a new sunrise. So it allows you effectively to train with less heat. and which means less stress. And you're not going to overheat and become dehydrated, which is ultimately going to allow your fitness to settle in faster because your recovery times will be boosted. This is especially important when we're talking about our weekday intensity runs that we need to recover from before we go into our long runs that weekend.
It also leads to better quality workouts, right? So like you just said, it makes your pacing feel easier. It makes the overall workout more enjoyable, and it can make it more productive as well because you are eliminating the stress of the heat as much as you can.
Third way that this one's going to help out is to starting your day with momentum, right? Knocking out your run before work. Again, nobody likes getting up in the fours. I don't. However, it really does kind of create this sense of accomplishment. And like we did that, and it carries through the day. That will ultimately help you face the rest of the day and any challenges later on. And it's also really great practice because most races are early AF and you're going to have that early morning wake up anyway.
This was our biggest hack of getting your workouts done, was getting them done in the morning.
Yeah, as much as everyone hates it. It's adulting, hashtag, it's real.
All right, next up, there are fewer distractions and fewer crowds. So, we're talking about the lakefront. If you're doing an early morning run on the lakefront, you are going to be missing a large group of people who are out there, especially on the weekends. But it's just a quieter time generally to do your training. And it's, if you're looking for a more peaceful version and really focusing on your running experience, then sunrise is the time.
But, be safe. PSA. One earbud or none, or group up with people.
Right.
All right, next up, of course, we know it's unbeatable views for another mental boost, right? So we love the colors of sunrises are unmatched this time of year. I have such FOMO when other people get the sunrise picture and I don't have it. And I'm like, dang it, I should have gone. So there's just this feeling of like a city, especially waking up, the fact that it's yours, you almost feel like you own it. It's just a really special perspective, and it makes training feel a lot more like fun and refreshing and less like a chore. The biggest thing is that it is a privilege to get up and do what we love, and it just gives you that perspective along with some beautiful colors.
All right, finally, the bonus here is that it helps you sleep better. And so waking up and moving and having that sunlight exposure in the morning helps reset your circadian rhythm and helps regulate that circadian rhythm, which will help you optimize your sleep and your waking cycles, and ultimately will probably encourage you to go to bed a little bit earlier so that you can wake up and feel like you are ready to hit those early morning workouts.
In the foes.
That's right. Number 4 way to summer max your running experience is to do a run commute.
I love a run commute.
I love a run commute. It's so good. It's, if your miles are stacking up and you have the opportunity to get in some recovery runs, commute runs are awesome. It's a great way to maximize your miles and your time. It gets you from point A to point B. If you have a nice little running pack, you're golden. And you can do that and make sure that the weather is optimal for your run commutes, or not. I ran commute the other day in the rain because it was going to be faster than my car. Yeah, and that was awesome.
And it's not cold. It's not cold this time of year. Turns out
you don't need a lot of layers. You can be to any destination that you already have to go to. So like I was doing the run commute to Coach. Okay, and that was perfect. Going to appointments, anywhere that you don't need to be like super pristine. Super fresh.
Our dentist, for whatever reason, is still downtown, like in the middle of downtown, not convenient. However, I like them. I love our dental hygienist. She's the best. But I'll take the train there and then I run home. And it's always like a joke because I always have like the little kit that they give you, like a toothbrush, like in one hand. I don't mind carrying stuff, but it's a really great way to just go one way, right?
Yeah, so these are best suited for recovery miles, not for workouts. Wouldn't do a run commute as a tempo or a speed workout. And it might be best to invest in that running pack, something that you can carry your gear in if you need to change your clothes to wherever you're getting to, and carry your nutrition, your hydration, and anything else you might need to actually make this a part of your daily practice.
It also is a mental, I'm a badass. Like it really, I love it. It's like, let's do this. It's especially great when you run commute, like you said, and you are going to be running and reaching your destination faster than if you drove. So you're saving on gas or electricity, depending on your car, and then you also save time and you get a workout in, like win, win, win. Last, but definitely not least, maybe as a coach, this is like number 1, Get in a hot benchmark race. Let's repeat that one and get in a hot benchmark race. It does not mean any particular distance, a 5K, a 10K, a half. We are going to be real with you. Global warming is here to stay. So our fall races, if you are training for a fall race, it is more than likely going to be warmer than what you like. It's just the reality. It could be cool, but more than likely you need to train for in order to be able to handle the heat. What is a better way to know how to race in the heat than by racing in the heat? So think of this as an ultimate rust buster.
Yeah, it helps you build heat acclimation too. So like you are going to have to adapt in your race, and racing in warm conditions helps your body become more efficient at running in warm conditions and at cooling itself. So over time, you get a better sweat response, you get better blood plasma volume, and overall tolerance to heat. And we're trying to figure out how to adjust our bodies from the depths of winter to the summer that's still ahead of us, and getting out there and actually putting in race pace effort in the heat.
Yeah, in that intensity. Yeah,
there's a lot of lessons to be learned there.
On that note, practicing race day execution is huge. So heat adds absolutely another layer of strategy that you have to consider. It gives you racing in the summer and racing in these intentionally warm races gives you opportunity to practice things like pacing, hydration, and fueling, and how does your effort change, and what when the conditions aren't ideal, because more than likely they won't be. These are all going to be really valuable skills for when your race is warm, right? You're also ideally going to be able to get a pace card that is heat approved, as we say, right? So that if you race and it's 72 degrees out, we know that that's the work that you can do in 72 degrees, and we can build out what those marathon ranges might look like if it's a 5K, for instance.
And finally, it develops mental resilience. So, warm weather racing makes you have to be patient, you have to be adaptable. It teaches you toughness. So many of the people that raced our Chicago half recently, when everybody melted down, the biggest thing that I heard afterwards from athletes was, I'm really proud of myself for sticking it out.
Yeah.
I'm proud that I stuck in there, even though it was really, really hard because it was so warm. So this just helps you level up that mental toughness, sort of like going out for the training on the inclement weather days, right? It's just a confidence booster. And then you pair that with the heat approved pace card, and you are ready for the rest of your season.
All right, those are the 5. We know we missed some Summermaxxing for runners here in Chicago. We want to know what your tips are. So comment on this post or send us a DM. And who knows, maybe we record a second version of this one.